Leeds United have had some very, very interesting transfer targets so far this window. We had Muharemovic, which was very clearly a replacement for Pascal Struijk. We had James Trafford, who has come in to fix the goalkeeping situation, basically. And we had Harry Wilson, who we know we've been wanting a right winger slash number 10 for a while now. So then you take a look at the targets that we're looking at now and realise there might be a little bit of a pattern, and it might be pointing in the general direction of a big tactical shift that has a lot of fans scared. But in this video, I'm going to run through what our tactics sort of were previously and why they were potentially flawed, why we might be heading in the direction of something a bit different this season, and some of the pros and cons of that change, and ultimately what we need to be doing. But before all of that, I'd usually appreciate you subscribing to the channel. It is free and it's like one click and it's the button right there that says subscribe. Thank you very much. Also like the video. Ta. Anyway, let's get into it. So, last season, as we all know, we were playing in a sort of 5 at the back system. You would have 3 centre backs. It would typically be, on our best day, Rodon, Beale and Pascal Struijk, with Bogle at right back, Gudmundsson at left back. Bogle would bomb on a bit, Rodon would sit in as sort of semi right back when we were in possession, but out of possession it was very clearly 5 players at the back. But I think there were some pretty clear drawbacks with using that system. First of all, when you've got 5 players at the back, you immediately have an incredibly difficult choice to make elsewhere on the pitch. Because if you look in the midfield, well, you can be potentially weak there, because if you've decided to play with 2 wingers behind a centre forward, that is a pretty effective attacking unit in addition to your 2 wing backs, but that leaves you with 2 central midfielders who, let's be honest, if one of them isn't on their game, Ethan Ampadu and Anton Stack are pretty damn good, but they can't control the midfield on their own without the other. So if you've got a single midfielder that isn't quite doing it quite right, then your game plan falls apart because you've decided to have something in attack. And then you've got the alternative side of that payoff, which is if you decide to sort of shore up the midfield, go with 3 central midfielders or 2 central midfielders and then 2 sort of wide midfielders that aren't strictly wingers. Cool, you've stacked the midfield, you've won possession, you've held the ball really effectively, but going forward you've got very little. Because sure, you've got your wing backs, but there's a bit less support for your number 9. And in case you've got 2 number 9s, fantastic, but you're still relying on 3 central midfielders to get the ball to them, and there's not really that sort of step ladder way of going forwards where you've got a number 10 to go through or where you've got wingers to go through. It's incredibly difficult, and whilst Rodon's role was a little bit of a solution sometimes, so our right winger could come inside and be a number 10 sometimes because Bogle had just bombed on to be a winger, it's not strictly going to be the most effective solution. It's not permanent, it's not something that you can rely on because Joe Rodon isn't a right back. We need to remember that sometimes. And yeah, he's pretty damn quick, but at the same time, he can't do every single job on the pitch at the same time. And now we are increasingly seeing evidence that there is a potential shift to a 4 at the back system at Leeds United for a few different reasons. I keep glancing at my notes because I want to make sure I cover everything in this video. First of all, we know that Harry Wilson joined, and sure, he is essentially just a player that we were missing from last season, but he's notably very, very good in an inside role and out on the wing. And if we were to just sign Wilson, you'd think, cool, fantastic. That's that filled in. He would effectively take the role of Aronson last season. Same kind of system, but it's not going to just be Wilson, because there's still conversation going on surrounding Julian Brandt, who is a very widely renowned creator in the 10. He's not exactly someone that you're going to sign just to say, well, you weren't playing games of football, and we're not going to be in a situation where we say one of Wilson and Brandt will play, because let's be honest, the amount of money that Wilson is earning and the amount of money that Brandt would be earning is frankly incredible. And at the same time, you don't drop Noah Okafor because he was one of our most important players last season. So that immediately implies a line of 3 behind a number 9, which sort of removes you from that having 5 at the back conversation. And in addition to that, we've had similar conversation around Schultz, who his addition would also imply that sort of line of 3 behind a number 9. And you can't just have one holding midfielder with your 5 sort of defensive players. So that is a very massive implication that Leeds aren't looking to sort of tie themselves to the 5 at the back system, instead looking to sort of vary and play a little bit more with 4 at the back at times, a little bit more with 5. And I think there's a lot of pros and a lot of cons to moving to 4 at the back that I'm going to take a little bit of a dive through. And the first of those pros is you've got a massive increase in your tactical flexibility. The amount of stuff that you can do with 4 at the back is significantly more than 5. When on a football pitch, the most sort of solid and stuck role is the centre-back. Because all a centre-back can do, realistically, is the defensive centre-backy duties. And I have mentioned Rodon, and he does hop out wide from time to time, but out of possession, that's not something that you can realistically do. Whereas if you've got 4 at the back, you can play with 3 midfielders, 5 midfielders, 4 midfielders. You can do what you want in terms of wide plays, you can play as narrow as you like, you can play 1, 2, sod it, even 3 centre forwards. There's a lot more tactical flexibility in a 4, and keep in mind we can always just use the 5 again. But I think having 4 at the back means that we're able to do a little bit more. And if Ampadu wants to drop in as an effective centre back from time to time, that's fine, because you've got enough players that you can pack out the midfield and say, cool, you've still got Stack and Tanaka in there, which is fantastic and can still control the midfield even if you've had to make a little bit of a tweak in game. In addition to that, you want your manager to be comfortable at any level, but especially in the Premier League, because the Premier League is, let's be honest, a nightmare league. You want to have as many good advantages as you possibly can, and your manager being comfortable with the system that you use is key. And in this case, it's far more comfortable for Daniel Farke. He mentioned to Harry Wilson when he was trying to sign him, look, I like playing the possession style of play, I like having the ball, I like us being able to create opportunities, and that 4 at the back is something that we know that he likes to sort of default back to, and I've got absolutely no problem with that, to be honest with you. The question is it going to be a thing that kind of sticks? We've seen it be experimented with from time to time. It got us promoted, for God's sake, but in the Premier League it didn't quite stick around. In addition to that, if it works, and this is another if, it gives us a bit more control over games, and we get to see more of those shiny toys, which I know is one of those sort of selfish things, but you get Brandt on the pitch, and you get Wilson on the pitch, and you get potentially whoever our new striker signing is going to be on the pitch, and Muharemovic on the pitch. It's not a case of one of Brandt or Wilson needs to stay off. It's a case of you can just put all the nice new high quality players on the pitch and they will perform for you, and that would be wonderful. But there are still some pretty big cons, the first of which is potentially leaving some options out. Someone mentioned in my chat on a stream the other day that if we got a 4 at the back, isn't that going to make Beale a little bit pissed off? Because Beale works most effectively in a 3 at the back, and I guess he can do a 4, but at the end of the day, is he ever going to start in that 4 at the back? Or is it going to be Rodon, because Rodon's a little bit pacier, and you need that pace if there's only 2 centre-backs. Add on to that, do we have the quality for it just yet? Can we rely on just 2 centre-backs at this point, or are we still in a position where we need to sort of shore up hit sides on the break? I would like that to not be the case, but it's always potentially a thing. And in addition to that, this is the bit that makes fans unhappy. It's a shift away from what's comfortable. What is comfortable is what got us a hell of a lot of points last season, and that is the 5 at the back. And sure, I agree. Going to 4 is something that didn't work last time out, isn't guaranteed to work this time out, so it's spooky. Sure. But at the end of the day, the squad is evolving. And if the squad is evolving and the tactics don't, then we're not changing to suit the strengths of the players that we sign. I think the players that we are signing, sure, Muharemovic has played more in a 3 than he has a 4, I think. But we're going to need to adapt based on what all of the players at Leeds United do best. And I think going forward into the season, at least having the option to play with the 3 at the back against your Arsenals, your Liverpools, your Cities, and yet a 4 against Hull, Ipswich, Coventry, gives us the best possible chance to maximise our results for the entire season, perform how we need to perform, and not only stay safe, but thrive. And hopefully, that's what we are able to do. A little bit of flexibility. That's what I'm looking for this season. And if we get it, I think there is nothing that can stop us from matching last season at the very least. Anyway, I'm going to leave that video there. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm genuinely a little bit curious about what people would prefer between the 2 systems. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't yet, become a channel member, all that fun kind of stuff. Hope you all enjoyed it, and I will see you guys later. Toodaloo.